Welcome everybody to another episode of Into the Storm, where we look to uncover the more vulnerable side of our friends and or referral partners that are doing amazing things in the community. Specifically focused on Arizona, and we are not just a real estate podcast, but we're focusing on all kinds of business in the Valley. First of all, I want to thank Bison Ventures. We are a mortgage company, and we focus on informed mortgage lending, and we are in the Bison Ventures office here, and luckily we are able to use this as our podcast studio. And I would also like to thank Muscular Moving Men, who is our newest sponsor. So if you have a residential move or a commercial move, these guys are the ones to go to. We've used them many times, and so is our guests. So
have I.
And
their storage facility is amazing.
Storage facilities as well. So as far as our social media platforms, we are Into the Storm. We are on all social media platforms, and we are also on YouTube. So go on to YouTube, Into the Storm, and like and subscribe, ring the bell so we can get reminded, which I had to get reminded of that today. Not of our own podcast, but of another.
Yeah, right.
So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. So today's guest is in the commercial industrial space. He's been in this space for almost 20 years, about 17 years, right, Ted?
Yep.
Sorry, I said his name. So he's a good friend of mine. He's also in my charity group, Executive Council 70. We are in another networking group called Junto, which we've been in for a few years now. And it's basically CEOs and people doing big things in the business, whether they're an owner or not, right? So our guest today is Ted Liles of Cressa.
Yo.
Yay. You can throw the claps, the
Yeah.
So Teddy.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for there.
Yeah.
So Ted's been in the industrial space his whole career, correct?
Yeah. Started off as a full service broker while I was still attending school and playing volleyball at Long Beach State. And for 17 years now, I've been in Phoenix since 2008 doing industrial commercial representation.
So we'll go back to the playing volleyball, because I'm sure that you want to mention that because he threw it out there. Yeah. So Ted is 6'7"?
Yes.
Okay, so, and a lefty.
Oh, I wish that'd be
No, you
cooler.
are not lefty. No. Okay, you're right. Okay.
But looks great in spandex.
It does.
Yes.
And so it's no surprise that Ted was a very accomplished volleyball player, indoor and outdoor, right?
Not so good on
the sand.
On the sand, I enjoyed playing. It felt good. It did not look good.
Okay.
for anybody else.
It's tough to get a big body to move quick in the sand, right?
Yeah.
So were you an outside hitter?
I was a middle blocker.
Middle blocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ones that have a screw loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Tucson and made your way to Long Beach State. How did that work?
Yeah. So, blessings happen in disguise, and sometimes through tragedy. When I was 9, my father passed away, and I came from very humble beginnings. And when I was 12 or 13, and my dad was very close to me. And when I was 12 or 13, my mom remarried to a gentleman that was a residential developer in Tucson. And it gave me an opportunity to play club volleyball, and I gravitated towards it. And because of that, I got to get a full ride scholarship to Long Beach State. And
you're not a spring chicken, so to speak. So when volleyball wasn't a big deal for guys, you're how old? 41?
39.
39?
Yes.
So damn, almost real close.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, that's not like it was like a big thing back in the day. So for the fact that you gravitated to that sport as opposed to something maybe like basketball, like why is that?
You know what? I loved basketball. I played a lot of basketball, and my father, my real father, and I consider my stepdad my real father too. He stepped in, took care of me. But I got to spend my summers in Manhattan Beach. And when I was there, I touched a volleyball, and I was like, man, there's bathing suits, and this is just fun, and there's the beach. And
a ton of nets.
And my basketball program at the time was like summertime. It's time to be in the gym. I'm like, I want to go to California. And I'll never forget telling my dad that I didn't want to play basketball anymore. And he's like, it's a girl's sport. Right. Why are you doing that? And I was like,
you're like, go to Manhattan Beach. You've been watching the guys and the girls out here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So Anyways, he supported me to go play club volleyball. I couldn't chew gum and walk at the same time, and it just clicked going into my senior year. So I got very, very lucky.
So you got good. The last minute, so to speak.
Last second, yeah. So it was a blessing.
Did your high school have a men's team, a boys team?
They had boys. I was a man at the time. Yes, we had a men's team. We lost state there in our club program. We lost state.
Oof.
At Long Beach State, we lost the national championship to BYU. So you're looking at the biggest loser in commercial real estate. I guess. I don't know.
No, not in commercial real estate, but in volleyball.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. So when you graduated Long Beach State, did you stay in California, or did you venture back to Arizona? Like, how long did it take?
So I graduated in 2007. I had enough credits. I redshirted my first year at Long Beach, so I could have been there for 5 years. I had enough credits to graduate in 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Who did?
But of course, I wanted to stay in college.
Yeah.
So
right.
My last year, I had like independent study, which means that you don't have to do anything but play sports and I guess do some kind of studying. Yeah. And I just realized that I could be pretty self-destructive. So after my first semester, I went to the Booster Foundation. I said, I'd like to get into commercial real estate. And they're like, hey, one of our boosters owns a real estate company. And I said, great. And I went and met with the guy. The guy's still a great friend, Doug Shea, and a mentor. And he's like, I'll hire you. I love volleyball players. And so I did commercial real estate in the morning. My coach like looked at me kind of weird. So I did real estate from 7 until noon, drove to campus to go do the workouts and then go do practice and played. And then after the season was over, I just said, hey, I'm ready to do real estate full time. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Burn out of volleyball. And I got an opportunity in 2007 from USA Volleyball called me and said, hey, you're not too far away from where the gym is. We'd like to have you come in and practice. So I got to train with the USA national team, which was a really, really cool experience. It made me realize that I was ready to not play volleyball anymore.
You saw there was another level.
Yeah, I was a punching bag, but like they liked. I had heart. I had heart. I tried hard.
Yeah.
But
were any of those guys on your college team?
Yeah. So I mean,
because that was like one of the best teams in the country for a long time, right?
And Long Beach was a great program, but in 2007, so that would have been going into 2008. They won the 2008 Olympics in China. So I can say that I played against some of the best. They weren't all in the gym.
Yeah.
But 3 of my teammates that I played at Long Beach State were on that team.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you started your career your last year in college.
Yeah.
And when you were done, did you stay working for that guy?
Yeah.
Rob Shore was his name?
Doug Shea.
Doug Shea.
Close.
This guy is,
49,
hopefully he gets like to hear this, but he's a 5'3", small guy with the world's biggest personality,
yeah,
and just fire in his belly. And I was like, God, I love this. Yeah, so
it reminds me of TA.
TA is something else. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we stay in touch, and I stayed there for a while. And my wife Jenny was a couple years older than me, and she got an opportunity in 2008 to move out to Arizona to open Montessori schools.
Oh, wow. To open the Montessori schools.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Jenny today a little bit in Junta. Were you there when we did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jenny's like the uber overachiever, and
yes.
she very much wants to be a CEO, and she will be, of a major corporation.
Yeah.
And she's on her way now. She's actually she actually works at Cressa as well.
Yeah.
And she is pretty high up in there.
Yes, she runs strategic initiatives for our president and really trying to help sales enablement for the company. But she's a go-getter. Her claim to fame is she won a national championship in college as a dancer, and I lost a national championship. Yeah. So when competitiveness comes up, she is ready to.
She is a good dancer.
Yeah, did you meet her in college? Like,
yeah.
You went to school together?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she's a couple years older than me, but she dug her claws in. And
so she's 41.
Yes, she's 41.
I knew that there was one.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So when you guys moved out, did you move companies, or did you stay working for Doug?
No, I moved out here and I interviewed at all the larger firms. That was right when everything fell off a cliff. Mm-hmm. And, they're like, hey, you did you go to U of A or ASU? And the answer is no. And clearly you didn't go to Brophy.
Right.
We don't have a spot for you here. And so Doug connected the dots with a guy who was a mentor and who I worked with first, named Lance Ross with Ross Property Advisors. Very, very sharp guy. And he hired me and kind of gave me a direction, and I just rolled with it.
Was it industrial at that point too, or no?
So it was industrial, and the specialty was tenant rep. And being, naive.
Explain that, because that's still what you do.
It is still what I do. And to be honest, I've explained this to my father for like 15 years.
All right, so I know you've explained it a million times, but it's and why. It's not only say what it is, but like explain why you choose this avenue, because it's not like the one that everybody's seeking.
Right. So in the big scheme of things, tenant rep or occupier representation in commercial real estate, it's a little less than 1% of what the commercial real estate realm is. Full service commercial brokerage. There's 3 legs of revenue. You can represent the landlord, take listings, put your name on the outside of a building, fill it up, sell it. There's the capital market side. So when it fills up, you're going to sell it on a cap rate, and then hopefully he'll retain the listing. And then there's the tenant rep side, meaning that you go over here and you say, hey, do you need space? And they say yes, and you bring them over here. And that's how a lot of business happens. On the tenant rep side, it's your solely focused. You got one leg of revenue, but your entire goal is to do such a great job that the relationship and the churning of the real estate, it's almost like an annuity. So what Cressa does, and Cressa is the world's largest occupier rep firm, we focus on corporate real estate strategy for companies that have big portfolios of space. So you think, big warehouses, easiest one would be Amazon. That is not my client.
Right.
But you go, hey, Amazon's got 1,000 of these facilities throughout the country. How do they place those? Do they take into account labor and transportation and drayage and, inside the box design? And I help kind of wrangle all these things in so tenants, businesses can make the best possible real estate decision.
Right.
So that's my deal. Like my 50% of my business is here in Arizona. And the other 50% of it is all throughout North America. And I've got a team of 6, and we do corporate real estate strategy all day long. So I don't know. Did that even confuse you more? I'm sorry.
No, it didn't. And I'll explain it in like layman's terms.
Cool.
So you don't work with Amazon. You work with the person that wants to have a building like Amazon, and you get it. And you represent them to go into the space like an industrial space. Correct. You don't represent the guy who actually owns the building.
I don't represent the building owner. Correct.
Correct.
What I do is I represent the company that needs space.
Yes.
So you're like a buyer's agent.
I'm a buyer's agent. Yes, to dumb that down. So.
Got it. So I've been like around you, watching you kind of grow in this in your career, and for a long time. And I think for a while there, we're always like, why does Ted do this side of it? But because we had a lot of friends on the other side, and I think I had a lot of other friends who were like, I don't know why Ted does this side, but this is what you enjoyed, right? And you're almost like an analyst, right? You really come in and you do like an analysis for them, but you're like of the ability to be like the cold caller guy is like a nobody I've ever seen in my life. Do you remember, or do you still use so basically what he would do is he knew every single building in all of Arizona, but for sure Maricopa County, and he had like this giant map, and it had every single person, like who owned it, all their contact information, and he did that himself. He gathered all the information and created this thing. And nowadays you probably can just like go get it.
Yeah.
But then you couldn't, right? And that was from cold calling.
That was going door to door. I literally wore holes in the bottom of my shoes, getting business cards and then putting campaigns together and email things and just saying, hey, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to provide you information. And if you need a resource, then that's fine. And one of my best clients, after doing that for 9 years, he goes, hey, Ted, you've been giving me the same shit every quarter. You know what? You've been pleasantly persistent. I'd always say, hey, I'm always just trying to be pleasantly persistent. How can I help you? And he goes, hey, if I meet with you, do you promise to stop calling me? And I said, absolutely. And so anyways, they've been a great client now, a national client. But it was just like, hey, I'm here to do that. So, I mean,
that guy actually told that story too, by the way. So it's true. He told me that story. But as like I guess like the world kind of turned and so much stuff went online and a lot of things changed from like the big box stores. I've seen like Ted go like this, and like your life and your business has astronomically changed, and that's been maybe the last 5 years, if maybe even 4 years for sure.
Yeah.
And so explain like how like how that whole thing's happened and how it's affected you, and like your role at
Yeah, so I've the last couple of years has been totally crazy, and being a part of executive council charities, with you and meeting some of the smartest people that I know. I mean, I've really doubled down on trying to pick as much of the free info that people have to become a little bit better. And about 5 years ago, I invested in my first coach. Great friend today, Zanzibar Vermiglio. I'm sure that his name's come up on this podcast.
Which he's now Stuart and Jeremy and my coach.
I didn't know that was him.
We just okay.
It's my spirit animal.
Yeah.
And we're still very, very close, but he helped me kind of understand and see the bigger picture on providing incredible value delivery and follow through and accountability and building those systems. So the combo of that, and then aligning with the right people and great people within my organization, Cressa. I've got some great mentors that are partners of mine at Cressa that have come in and they've really invested in me. I've got a great company, and my team has just been stellar. So I've been growing steadily over the years, and also having a wife that she really gets the business.
Yeah.
So when, going up till 2020 COVID, I was the best time of my career. COVID hit and it was like, oh man, like the world's over. I really went into a dark place, like dealt with some depression, and was just, I thought like everything that I built was going to be done. And then June of 2020, it was like, turn the lights on, and it's like, it has not slowed down 1 ounce,
right.
Consumer spending to e-commerce and this and that, and just investing in your craft, and it's a wash, rinse, repeat, and being disciplined and mentality and following through and doing the right thing. And it's paid off. And also like surrounding like with the Junto team and some people in EC70 and great mentors.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Ryan was in Mexico and I was dog sitting, and I remember calling you and I said, I'm going to run to the grocery store and I'm going to get as much food as I possibly can because I don't know what's going to happen. And he's like, am I going to be able to get back in the country? Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like...
I still get made fun of for buying all the pasta across the border.
Yeah. So I went to Trader Joe's and bought as much stuff as the shelves were empty. And I was like, holy shit, business, how is this going to affect the mortgage industry? Like, I was stressed for him. This is before I came to work here.
Yeah.
And you were stressed as well.
Little bit, now it's just interest rates that are just mortgages.
But the market was great. It was a great run for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But so through that process, what is your role exactly there? Because it's almost like you're like the manager of the 24th Street and Camelback. It's like Ted's. But it's not.
No. So I've got a handful of partners. So our office, we've got probably pretty close to 50 people now. I'm one of 5 managing partners in the office, so involved in the day-to-day. Again, there's 60 offices, Cressa offices in North America, and then we have something like 270 partner offices with Knight Frank globally. But I'm involved in kind of the day-to-day decisions and strategy, and then I'm kind of the rah-rah guy because my team's in the office most days, and I sit in my own corner of the office called the Thunderdome because I talk too loud and I've scared everyone away.
He's a very loud talker.
Yes.
Especially with a couple of cocktails. Very, very loud.
That works well for the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. But no, so my role is I've spent 2 years, so I stepped in right before COVID hit. I was asked to come on with Cressa and help run their national industrial program and oversee kind of initiatives and stuff like that. And I was super pumped. COVID happened, world fell apart kind of deal. And it was a really hard time trying to being a component of leadership and feeling like you couldn't do anything.
Totally.
So anyways, kind of my role right now at Phoenix is to continue to win big business and large accounts and support people that are coming up in the industry on showing them how to become, the best people possible and do great value delivery work for our customers. And the people that I work with, and I'm blessed and lucky enough to do a lot of mentoring, is anytime that you're in a relationship and you're working with somebody, you want to do such a good job that that person's going to go to everybody else that they know and say, if you're not working with this person, you're being an idiot. Right. And if you you treat your customers in that component and educate them along the way, it's you're putting ripples out in the universe, and all of a sudden they start to make tidal waves. So,
right.
Granted seasonality, but I'm saying that I'm at my first little wave and it's feeling pretty good.
It doesn't hurt that you're a super nice guy, right? People want to rally around people with personality.
I honestly would say
like
it's true. And I would also say that it doesn't hurt that you're really tall, too.
I would agree.
People remember you.
Right. And that's just the fact. Let's get back to a little bit about the the time when the world crashed for you, right? In COVID. So did Jenny kind of help you through that? Because I think you were going there a little bit. Or was it just the fact that the market turned and we all came out of this smooth? Because like you said, dealing with and I'm just going to say this right now because within our business right now, it's really, really hard. And I see a lot of my friends thriving incredibly, right? Especially today, our friend we were just talking about, he's in the remodel business and do TI stuff. And he's like, I have more shit than I even know what to do with. And we're over here going, right. So from a mental health capacity, there's days for sure where I'm like, dude, I don't even want to get out of bed, come in right now. Right.
But isn't that why you created Bison Ventures? Head into the storm. Let's do this.
We're into the storm, but we're stuck in it right now.
Hey,
and when it's affecting so many different people, and this is something that the people who've been in the business for 20 years haven't seen, or I shouldn't say 20 years because obviously they saw the 08, but for a long time. So I guess I'm just getting back to the question: is what did you do? How did it, or just kind of work its way out?
You know what? It was, I realized that managing remote, I'm terrible at that. I realized that I'm a people person, and I wasn't getting a whole lot of that. I started drinking early in the day. I was taking 2 naps, which was not like me.
Right.
Although if you gave me the green light to drink early in the day, I'd do it. But I've matured a little bit.
But not on a Tuesday.
Yeah, but correct. And it was really hard because every deal that I was working on just stalled, and I'm concerned about my team. There's the discussions on furloughing. Are we going to let people go? And it was just a hard time, kind of a gut punch where I was just kind of hey, I've worked really hard to try to do this right. Why are you out to get me and so many other people? But that was my mentality to, the big guy upstairs. So it was tough. I went into some pretty gnarly depression. Started dealing with anxiety, some mood swings kind of deal. And thank God for my wife. I mean, she is the glue that kept everything together. When she would start to lose, and I'm like, hey, honey, this is not good. You are the person, you are the person that keeps this whole thing together. And then not to mention having a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old sitting at, in your small home, and you're sitting there trying to do Zooms and try to salvage your deals. I mean, I remember one time, stellar dad moment, I'm screaming at my son, who's 6 years old, taking a math class, being I don't get this. I was I'm not a fucking teacher, come on. And my wife's what is going on? I was how do you want me, what do you expect me to do? Let me go do this. So anyways, we made it through it. And when the blessing that happened was in June, right when everything started going bonkers, there was a camp called Beginner's Edge Sports Training, Best Sports Camp. And they said, hey, we're going to open this up for kids. So we dropped our kids off and we went to work all day. And our office was officially closed at Cressa. I was well, if nobody's there, I'm going to go in. And just being able to get back in the rhythm of work and not being stuck in my bedroom for 18 hours a day. Yeah. It changed. It started to change. That, and also therapy and, drugs.
Mood stabilizers.
Yeah. So
I get it.
Trust tree here. But yes. All of that stuff kind of happened. And then when the team started showing back up, and I just said, hey, some people were hey, we want to work remote. And I'm it's really hard for me to work remote, and our work product's not great. And the team they said, hey, let's get back in the office. And I remember being back in the office and somebody else showed up and I got reported to HR. They're like, hey, I don't know, this is kind of an unsafe environment. I was like, you're showing up here, right? And then you remember we started hosting our meetings and then people would come in and they're like, what's going on? I got reported to HR all the time. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, everybody needs this.
Right. Yeah.
We're adults. If we want COVID, most of us had it, like, whatever. But,
Right. And little did you know, you got promoted from it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows, right?
Who knows, really, but
who knows?
do you think that in your office that you're the easiest guy to work for or the hardest guy to work for? And I would say that just because of, well, actually, just answer the question.
Yes, I'm the loudest guy to work for.
The loudest guy.
Say that again.
So do you think you're the hardest out of all the managing partners? There's 6 of you, right?
Yeah, 5.
5. Do you think that you're the hardest one to work for or the easiest or just right in the middle? And I'll tell you why I asked this question after you answer it.
I mean, it's not an objective. This is my opinion. I think that I'm easy to work for because I help manage expectations. It's taken a lot of training and coaching, and helping kind of understand how to operate and what makes people operate better. But I spend a lot of time managing expectations with my team. And I let them be very open in terms of what's going on with the team, what our thought process is, because I don't want to operate one way and have somebody feel shunned or that their voice didn't matter. I think that there's, without question, my team understands that I have high expectations for them. But the reason why I do that is I say, I want to know where you guys want to go, and I want to help you get there. So let's kind of figure it out together. So I'd probably say in the last 7 months, my team's been operating they've been jamming, and I'm looking at bringing on 2 more people, and they've embraced it. Where before they go, I don't know, is that going to cut into a bonus or,
right?
And they're like, I'm like, hey, let's think big picture here, and they're like, let's do this,
Right. So
I feel like I'm in a really good place right now with my team, surrounded by people that they know that I go to bat for them, and they go to bat for me. So,
so does your team, especially the salespeople, do they get to leverage any of your existing relationships or the ones that you've created, the ones you've been working on for years, or did you still have all that big book and database and they have to go get their own?
So I've got a unique model. So right now I don't have anybody else doing sales. I've got Victoria who's come on board, who she's starting to do some sales. I think that she's designed to be that way. But I've got Morgan and Cody and Adria that provide I've trained with them a lot and creating all these SOPs and whatnot, that we do it all the same way. So when we're running deals, we are pulling reports and we're providing information the exact same way. So they've been predominantly, and Victoria, are providing support on my end so that I can go out and get business. And the referral business has been great and the repeat business has been great, but I'm not able to get to the next level. I can't go and be that $4 million guy that I believe that I can be until I bring in salespeople. So I'm modifying my business model right now. So it's not like a lot of the other people, you'll have 4 or 5 different people doing business development. Yeah. I've got an entire team that are providing support for me, and then they try to give me a little bit of runway to go connect dots.
Gotcha.
So why do you feel like you haven't been able to make that leap into that 4 million range? It's just competition stiff?
No, you know what? I think that it's taken me. I feel like we're just hitting our stride right now, where people don't need to be told necessarily what to do. They come in, they know what they need to do. And granted, I also have a really young team. I mean, I got a 28-year-old, the 29-year-old, the 21-year-old, the 21-year-old.
Wow.
Okay,
but I believe I'd rather have somebody come in that doesn't know a whole lot, that I can train to be great, than somebody who has a way of wanting to do it their way. So
what are you looking for in those young people? Like,
where did you find them?
Hungry, humble, and smart. That's what I've been, honestly, Morgan was a babysitter for our kids. Mm-hmm. She hit me up and she goes, hey, I don't want to work at a restaurant. Can I intern? I said, can you get your real estate license? She got it like that. And she's been with me for almost 2 years. Victoria was a referral from a good friend, Andy Snedeker, and my wife. Cody had been at the company for a while and came over full time. And then Adria answered some ad, and she had the gift of gab. I was like, cool, let's see if we can do that. So that's how that's worked. And with the other people that are, that I've got some, partnerships of people that are coming in, but it's all about accountability and people who understand what they're good at.
Yeah.
And
did Zanzibar really lay all that out for you?
Yeah.
How to hold people accountable, KPIs. I mean, he has us doing projects right now.
Yes. Zanzibar really opened my eyes, and he opened my eyes by making me do stuff that I hated, right? Like
that's how he starts. You're going to hate this, but
like write everything you do
all
for
day
2
long.
weeks, all day long. Yeah. And it was like, all right, you're working 60-hour weeks. 22 hours is doing non-productive stuff. So let's figure out how to backfill this and train those people. He's been critical on understanding that back end. And we are still pals. I'm going to Tulum for his wedding here in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. But it was just time. I needed to start running my business, kind of like a business. Like my model had been, all right, do I have enough money in my account to pay my employees? Is there money in my account for me? Do I have any money for retirement and my kids' 529 plans? I was like, yeah, cool. Things are good.
Yeah. Right.
I've had months where you just stare at the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I got to get a little bit more key in this. So I wasn't doing so many KPIs with him, but I'm working with a new group, John Waters Business Consulting. They've been terrific, and they're really helping me kind of understand forecasting, budgeting, when to hire, when to not hire, seasonality of cash flows, stuff that's like way beyond me.
Mm-hmm. That you never thought you'd be saying, seasonality of cash flows.
You sounded really smart right there.
I'm going to be really clear. I'm a C student with a great personality.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So yeah. But my lane is an inch wide and deep, and outside of that lane, in every aspect, I need a lot of help.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thankful for the network that I have, and really bright people that I can call and be vulnerable with. Right? I mean, we've broken it down a million times. Yeah.
I think one of the things I really wanted you to come on here for is that you have such a grasp on what's going on in the valley, and so from like an economic standpoint and just like growth and like what's going on in the valley and what are like the biggest things that people need to know about or might already, but
yes, excuse me. The fact with the chip manufacturing plants that are going on, the Taiwanese chip plant, you have Intel, right? The Taiwanese chip plant up in Deer Valley, Anthem area, that was supposed to be a $17 billion deal. They just announced that there's going to be another $13 billion added to that.
Wow.
And another like $10 billion added to that earlier this week.
Wow.
Right? And as soon as that happened, you had all the suppliers that needed to bring in the acids and the cabling and this and that. And so overnight, like it just went bonkers. And Intel announced their $23 billion 2-campus edition, which is huge.
that's in Chandler.
That's in Chandler. And then at the same time being labeled as the electrical vehicle market, right? With Rivian and Lucid, right? And then you have the Nikola Motors and then the lithium battery deal. And these are all like major companies that they're manufacturing products into the future that are bringing really high-end jobs and whatnot here to this, to our city and state. So like Casa Grande, overnight, you're like,
Right.
you're building 2 extra raceways and an air park for people, like regular people, and this, it's just the craziest shit ever. So,
all of a sudden, like housing prices out there are going up.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I think that from 2007 and 8, when so much of the industry here was predicated on construction and whatnot, I think that the ACA and Greater Phoenix Economic Council, they've done a really good job diversifying and showing what Arizona has to offer for, technology and banking and finance. And so they've done a great job diversifying kind of what's going on here. And then now that we're being viewed as this major manufacturing hub, I mean, I think that I could get this number wrong, but we're attracting almost like 390 people a day. That's the growth and the sprawl.
Wow.
So I think in terms of that realm, it's huge. I think we're benefiting being with our proximity to the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. you can end up bringing in stuff from California, shipping it to Phoenix, and shipping it back to California before it goes out, and it's cheaper than bringing it off the boat, off the docks, and just going straight 30 miles inland to your warehouse, like because of labor costs and real estate costs and all that stuff. So we've kind of been sitting out here with a catcher's mitt for a while, and Phoenix for a long time, and I still think that in some capacities it's viewed that way. It's kind of a tier 2 market. I think we're the 5th largest metro in the country.
We are.
But I think that we're starting to, with the companies and whatnot that we're gaining momentum on, I think that people are starting to see us as a tier 1 market.
Well, yeah, our guest this morning mentioned that as well, right?
Yeah,
no, it's like he hated that. But
he hated that. But I think that it depends on how you look at that. I mean, right now for construction projects, at least on industrial, we're number 2 in the country versus like behind Dallas. Rent growth, which I never thought the rents would get this high, which again puts me in a realm that I deliver bad news to people all day long.
Right.
We're like 17% rent growth, highest rents ever. And we're lacking space. We can't build it fast enough. So it's been a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But certainly creates challenges.
All right, so that sparks more questions. So all those industrial buildings that are going down on like the 303 headed towards Buckeye from like Surprise, those are all full. Are they building them? When they're building them, are they building them with already people coming in, already knowing it, or are they building them to rent?
Most of them are spec development.
Okay.
And right now, I think we're at ballpark 40 million square feet under construction, and we're at like 55% pre-lease. So they haven't even, they're just getting ready to break ground.
already
they're
leased.
done. And so what we're seeing the trend of is people have the design of the building. They might get ready to start breaking ground, and somebody's going to say, hey, you know what? I need to modify it like this or like that. And they've been very nimble to make it modified to make it work for their use.
Just like the TIs, or they're actually like changing the structure of like the building itself?
Some of them, they're changing the structure. They're bringing in additional power. They might be bringing in air conditioning. Like, creature comforts is a big thing in this market right now because employees will leave over a quarter warehouse employees. So, I mean, if you got an air-conditioned warehouse and, an evap-cooled warehouse in the summertime, you might be losing employees, right? There's people that are trying to retain best talent. So it's a real deal.
Have you seen any similar trends in Tucson?
Yeah. I mean, Tucson's definitely gaining its momentum. They've had a couple of very big wins on the industrial side and some manufacturing. They landed some Amazons down there, and I'm from Tucson, so
I asked.
Yeah, I love following that stuff, and kind of the big employers down there is Raytheon and whatnot. But the amount of stuff that's going on, like the U of A business park that's kind of along the railway there, it's been impressive, the growth that's happening throughout Arizona.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't been there in 15 years, probably, like when like the area where you would actually like go out and get drinks and stuff. And
4th Avenue in downtown.
We went for my niece's home. Where was that?
Family weekend.
Yeah. Whatever. And dude, I had not any idea how cool that area was.
It's rad, right?
It's
and then
so rad.
The trolley and all that stuff. I mean, it's a really, really
there's
deal.
such cool bars, like old school architecture where you feel like I kept saying, I feel like I was in, I don't know, Colorado or Denver or something like that. It's where I felt. But
cool hip vibe, and kind of some swanky fun places. Yeah, I try to make it down for at least a basketball game or two a year. I've been a diehard U of A basketball guy forever.
Tomorrow's the ASU U of A game, I believe. Tickets are insane. I looked at them.
They are expensive.
College basketball.
I'm not too concerned, but also we lost to Stanford the other day, which should have been a blowout game. So yeah.
Well, ASU's good this year.
They're better.
Not U of A good though.
Yeah.
I mean,
U of A hasn't been that good.
I mean, they ranked number 5 in the country.
This year, but
last year
they were top 10.
Pretty great. Yeah, like what 3
I
of
feel
those
like
guys went off. They're in the NBA now.
I feel like they're good, but like they haven't been in like a national championship run in like.
You know what? NAU's the Lumberjacks are crushing it too right now.
They lost the other night to Portland State.
Yeah.
You see that in the last minute? I'm not saying that NAU is good at anything, but I'm just saying it's.
I do love the rivalry though.
When ASU gets good at something, or gets at basketball, it's like a big deal because we know that we're not that good.
You grow up in Tucson just naturally hating ASU, right? Because it's a small city that
Yeah.
It revolves around the college, right? And then at ASU, everyone's like, oh, that podunk town, and it's just, and I've kept that mentality forever. So,
and all those people that grew up here that hated U of A end up going to school at U of A, and they start hating ASU. So it's a flip-flopping town like you've ever seen in your life.
I've got one of those kids.
Yeah. Paloma was the biggest ASU fan ever. She'd wear ASU stuff all the time, and then she went to U of A, and now she's
my kind of person. Yeah,
she might end up at ASU again, grad school, but she's like, if I do, I am always a wildcat. I'll go to ASU, but I'm a wildcat. I'm like,
my son's into it, right? And every time that he goes past like a license plate that's got like the pitchfork or whatever, he's like, Dad, I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I like that car either.
And he's 6.
So he's 9. He's 9. Yeah, he's pretty entertaining too.
All right, one last question.
Yeah.
So all the Taiwan semiconductor stuff that's down there.
Yes.
All the companies that you're saying that like the feeder companies that have all the other stuff, the suppliers, are they building in that same complex area, or are they all over the valley? Wherever
they can find land right now. Like the land grab that's happened starting even call it back in 2015 or 16. A lot of it's going to be there. Of course, the closer, the better. Yeah. But I mean, that's why you have all these groups that are landing down in Casa Grande, just because Phoenix has priced itself out.
Yeah.
So I think that if they can find space, terrific. And if not, they're saying, hey, then where's the next closest place where I can end up getting the labor, quality labor, and get my products in and out. So that's
I'm just curious because it's funny that you brought up the fact that like this all was just announced, because I have 2 houses in that area.
Oof.
And they've been depreciating like crazy bad. Like one's depreciated almost $100,000 in like 6 months. And Monday morning, it had the green plus sign and it went up.
Right.
I do this like once a week. Like I check to see the values because I'm trying to
torture yourself.
Yeah. Like hopefully one day. And it's just astronomical. It was like $26,000 2 weeks ago down. And then this, all of a sudden, it was up $16,000, which it hadn't been in 10 months probably.
Well, and this is your space, and you know it better than me, but I mean, none of these things are operational. They're still a year or 2 years out from being operational. And if you look at any of the statistics on how many jobs and how many new homes are going to be required to facilitate the workforce there, I think you're going to be sitting in a pretty good place, right? I mean, I granted, I look at the, what did my stocks do today? And there's days where I feel like I just got kicked in the nuts, and there's other days that I'm like, I'm the smartest guy in the world. You know? So I mean, take it easy on yourself a little bit there. Wait until they start hiring. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're going to watch that just, if you can hold out that long, just that's
your advice.
That's my C student advice.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll end on that. Thanks again for coming and adjusting your day.
Yeah. Hey, well, I will say that you've got an incredible team here, and I can say that firsthand because you guys helped us get our house 1.5 years ago. And I could not appreciate that more because you know that I have trouble with technology, and you helped me get it through, and that was awesome, and you made the process amazing. And the fact that you have this great office, and again, team helping you with the podcast, rad. And thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely, dude. And thank you for the compliment too. Cool. And he does have problems with technology, but we made it through.
We made it through.
We made
it through. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks again to Bison Ventures for the space, and Trisha and Trey. They're the 2 people over there. Trey's not talking, but Trisha's been talking. I didn't introduce her at the beginning, but I usually do. So Trisha Madrid, she's my sister, and Trey Maroff, who is my godson and nephew. He's the podcast engineer. She's the podcast producer. So we're cranking this up, dude. We're trying to make it better. And Trey sent me, this is off topic, but Trey sent me the best clip I've ever had yet so far last week. And I was like, Jesus, he must have been bored.
No, he was really trying to make you happy.
Because I was like, what? You have to check it out because it's actually on our Instagram page and our YouTube.
More coming.
More coming.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So anyways, thanks again. Check us out if you haven't yet, or if you would like to check this episode out. And Ted, we need you to help promote this, which I know you will.
Happy to do it.
Very heavy LinkedIn guy. Big LinkedIn guy.
Yep.
And very consistent. Has been for a long time. So one thing I think we probably could do better is LinkedIn. And
100%.
Having Ted here, I think this maybe is going to be the time that catapults us to do so. So
You let me know.
100%.
thanks again. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.